morning. So I have a story for you this morning about Joe Green's lunch. Has anyone heard this story? I have a picture of what Joe Green might have looked like. He was a little boy that lived in England a long time ago. And he and some of the other village boys went to an all-boys school, as I said, in England. And so one day the boys were sitting outside, everyone but Joe Green, they were sitting outside eating their lunch. And so they're all talking and they're saying, how come Joe Green always goes off by himself to eat his lunch? And they were talking about that, and they were saying, we should pull a prank on him. We should do a prank. And we'll go into the coat room where they keep all the coats, and we'll look in his lunch. Because Joe Green was a poor boy. His father had died earlier that year, and his clothes, some of them had like patches on them and things, so his family didn't have a lot of money. And so they thought perhaps that was why he hid and ate his lunch. So after lunch, so there was a boy named Ned, and he said, I don't think that's a good idea. And they were like, oh, you're always so goody. Let's just have some fun. So they went into the coat room, and they got Joe Green's lunch basket. This was the next day. And they got his lunch basket, and there was a napkin on top. And then inside, they looked inside, and there was one potato. That was his lunch. And so they said, hey, here we can do our prank now. Let's put coal in the basket, because they used to heat with coal back in those days. So they put coal in his basket. They took the potato out, put coal in his basket, and they put a napkin on top, and they said, let's see how he reacts. And so they put the basket back. Well, Ned saw all this, and he had a better idea. He took the napkin off. All the boys had gone in to sit down, so nobody saw this. So he took the napkin off, and he put the coal back in the coal box, and he took his own lunch that his Aunt Sally, she used to make really nice sandwiches and things, and everybody always kind of looked at his lunch like, wow, you have really nice things for lunch. So he put all of those things into the basket and put the napkin on top, and he went and sat down with the other boys, so nobody had seen. So the lunch bell rang, and Joe Green got his lunch basket and went in the corner like he usually does to hide, because he didn't want anyone to see his lunch. And so he lifts the napkin off. Well, all the other boys are in the coat room. They're kind of watching, right? Normally they go outside, but they were kind of watching. And they're expecting that he's going to see coal, right? And so he just paused. He was like, and they're thinking he sees the coal, But then they saw 2 huge sandwiches, a little pie, and these are all homemade, right? And a little bag of raisins and a bag of nuts. It was like a lunch fit for a king, right? It was a really nice lunch. And so then Joe Green, he put his head down like this, and they thought, he's praying. And of course, then it made them all feel terrible, right? Because they were wanting to do something mean, and all of a sudden they were feeling really mean, right, about it. They knew Ned had done it, and just before they were like, Ned, where are you going? And he was like, I'm going to go home for lunch and see what Aunt Sally has for me. And so all these boys, the other boys, they all went outside, and their conscience was starting to get to them, right? Because they had wanted to do something mean. And they said, Ned did a really nice thing for Joe. He's a nice boy, even if he is poor. And they thought to themselves, Ned did like what Jesus would do, right? He did something kind. Even when other people were around saying, let's do this mean thing. And I thought about that story, and I thought about They wanted to be like Ned because Ned was like Jesus. And so I think that we should all think about that we should want to be like Jesus and do kind things. You can go back to your seats.